Welcome to another episode of Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose. Today we're asking, do you live life from your ego or from your soul? Listen in as Sharyn shares the journey of Jack, who is challenged with decisions in his work journey. Sharyn's guidance will help you know if you're living from your ego or your soul and how to change it. Don't miss the new affirmation card at the very end, so stay tuned and let's get started.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose. Today, I want to talk about the ego and the soul. I think that our society, with our spiritual revolution that's been going on the last 15, 20 years, I think a lot of people in our society are really confused as to what is the ego and how do you know you're using your ego self versus what is the soul and how do you know you're using your soul self to live your life. So what I did is I created a story, and I'm going to share this story with you. And then we're going to talk a little, it's a great demonstration of how ego plays a role in your life and how soul plays a role in your life and how to understand what each of them are. Because here's the basic principles. Ego will always seek to serve itself, whereas soul will seek to serve others. Ego always looks outward, whereas soul will tend to look inward. And this is a really good one for our society right now. Ego is drawn to lust, soul is drawn to love, and there's a big difference. Ego seeks wisdom, and the soul is the wisdom. Ego is me, soul is we. So let me just, ego feels lack also, and soul feels abundance. And that's a big one in our culture as well. But let me just share the story that I created for you, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So there was a man named Jack, and he lived in a little town. He had a good job. He had a loving wife and two beautiful kids. Jack was really happy with his life, and he loved what he did, but he always felt like there was just this little bit of him that just wasn't quite satisfied. And he didn't know what it was. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he knew deep down he wasn't really living up to his potential. And one day he decided to take a walk in the woods to clear his head, just to go for a stroll. And as he walked, he came across an amazingly beautiful meadow with a beautiful, stunning view of the mountains in the distance. And it's very appropriate, isn't it, for where we live right now, with the Rockies just out our door. And when he stood there, taking in the scenery, he all of a sudden felt this surge of emotion. He just felt good, and he felt inspired, and he felt such joy, and his heart felt full. And he realized that what he had been missing from his life was a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. And so Jack, right there and then, was inspired to make the decision to follow his soul's yearning and start a new career in the environmental field. He realized that's what he loved. That's what he wanted to do. So he went back to school. He earned a degree in environmental science. He started working for a local organization and was finally living a life that felt just amazing. It felt really true to himself. He was really passionate about his work, and he felt like he was making a difference in the world. And passion, inspiration, excitement, enthusiasm, optimism, all are signs of soul decisions, soul purpose, soul guidance. Those are all living from your higher self. So he's got this great job. Now, as time passes, Jack begins to notice that he was wanting more attention. He just wasn't getting, he felt he wasn't getting the recognition and the validation that he thought he should get for the work he was doing. And he became kind of obsessed about getting promotions and climbing the ladder at his organization. Now, remember, he was really passionate about his work, went and got all his degrees and all the information he needed to be able to become the environmental scientist. And he got the job. But he became so obsessed that he started to really lose sight of why he had taken on this particular line of work in the first place. One day, Jack was offered a promotion to a high-level position at this organization. And it was prestigious, and it came with a big salary and lots of perks and lots of benefits. And he was just thrilled at the offer, and he really was excited to accept it. So he did. But as time started to pass and he began to settle into his new role, he realized he was no longer doing work that he was passionate about. He was spending most of his time in meetings, and he was managing people rather than working on the front lines in conservation, environmental work. Jack began to realize that he had made the decision to take this position and to seek out advancement and to seek out the big salary and to seek out all the perks. He realized that he had made that decision from his ego rather than his soul. And he'd gotten caught up in the prestige and the status of the position rather than following his true calling. He made the difficult decision, and believe me, it would be a difficult decision to step down from the position he had taken of prestige and return to a role where he could focus on the work that he loved. At the end of the day, Jack had learned that it's important to listen to both your soul, which he listened to when he went for the walk in the meadow. His soul inspired. He was so inspired by the beauty of the nature around him, and he knew then what he wanted to do. But it was his soul he was listening to, not his ego. But listen to both your soul and your ego to make sure that you don't let your ego override your true purpose in life. Don't let the quest for money and power and status override your true purpose in life. He continued to work in the environmental field, and now he did it with a sense of balance and perspective. He knew why he was there, knowing he was doing work that really, truly mattered to him. I hope you like that little story. It's short. The reason I wanted to use a story was because I think a lot of you can really relate to Jack. And in my particular case, I get asked a lot why I do the work that I do. I love what I do, absolutely love what I do. And one of the best things that's ever happened to me is being able to have the opportunity to watch some of those people in the holistic studies, in mediumship, in psychic work, in coaching, go before me and being able to have watched them fall. There are some big, big names out there who made millions of dollars because that was their quest. And they were initially, one of them I trained with actually in my industry. I trained with her in 2011, I think it was. And I mean, that's a long time ago. She was really fairly new in her industry. It might even have been earlier than that, maybe even 2009. But she was fairly new in her industry, and she was just so dedicated to her work and so dedicated to us that came as students, so dedicated to making sure we got the right information, and was so on purpose. But eventually it got to a place where the money took over and the power and the fame and the adoration and the prestige took over. And she became a very powerful figure in the holistic field. And as the last time I ever saw her when she was doing a keynote speak, I don't even know how many years ago that was now. I remember looking at her sadly, and I said to my husband, she's headed for a fall. I could just see it. And it made me more careful and more sure of what I didn't want to have happen to me. I get a lot of good credit from people. I get a lot of kind words and loving thoughts and loving expressions given to me. And I make very sure that I don't allow it to go to my head. I work so hard at that because I watched this particular woman and many others in my industry rise in the industry to places of position and power where they're actually having a major impact on a lot of people. And they crashed. They literally crashed. They destroyed themselves and they destroyed their purpose, and they let go of what they really were in the business for in the first place, and that's to make a difference. And you've heard me say it before, my little piece of paper that sits on my nightstand, how can I make a difference in the world today? It's there every morning and when I get up, and it's there every night when I go to bed. How can I make a difference in the world today? Not how can I be richer, not how can I be, but how can I make a difference in the world today? And it helps me seek to serve others. It helps me to be authentic and to use my life as a gift. It helps me to look inwards and see, what do I want to do today to help serve others? How can I feel abundant? You always feel abundant when you're feeling loving, in passing that loving outward. I love being able to enjoy the journey. One of the things about the ego and the journey, the biggest difference, and this is what Jack, you'll notice in the story, Jack discovered, Ego enjoys the prize, but soul enjoys the journey. And I think for me, that's why it's just such a I love it so much is that I'm able to really enjoy working with my clients. I love putting my cards up on Wednesdays and again on Thursdays. And I love planning new workshops and I love writing and taking more courses. And I absolutely love the journey of growth, learning more about meditation, learning more about the value of how to stay positive and affirmations and teaching the things that I teach so that I am living from my soul self and not from my ego self. I enjoy the journey. The prize is always nice, but it's not the goal. And if when you live your life, you're always living for what's out there ahead of you instead of enjoying the process of getting there, well, you're not always happy, are you? A lot of your days are not really, really happy. Ego is causes a lot of pain in our bodies, a lot of pain in our minds, pain in our mental states and our emotional centers. And soul is the cause of healing. Soul, love, love, love. Ego is always looking to be filled with something. Ego is always seeking for more and more and more. And soul knows it is all that is. Soul knows there's eternal wholeness. So if you're able to look inward and you're able to feel your own abundance and feel eternal, and if you're drawn to love and you allow yourself to be wisdom and enjoy the journey of your life and be a cause and enjoy your soul allowing you to heal and be well, embrace the universal energies and be eternally whole instead of seeking to needing to be filled, and be we instead of always me, I think you're going to find that your journey is going to be a lot more fun and you're really going to enjoy it. I picked a card today from the Cheryl Richardson's My Daily Affirmation cards from her 50 card deck. And the affirmation I want to share with you today, and you can pause this and grab pen and paper, but you can write it down. I am a master at setting boundaries that protect my time, my energy, and my creativity, and my emotional well-being. Some of those boundaries you're going to set are not allowing yourself to get too big for your britches. That's a good Canadian expression, isn't it? Being too big for your britches. I enjoyed creating that story for you. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. I want to remind you that you can go over to SharynRose.com, Sharyn with a Y, and all of the podcasts are there, plus all the services are listed there. If you want to take a peek at what I do, then maybe we'll meet if we haven't met before. And if we have, well, I look forward to seeing you again. And don't forget that we're on Facebook. I'm going to be starting to do lives again soon, and those lives are going to be lively. So if you haven't joined Sharyn Rose Psychic Coach and Medium Facebook page, go do that. Cards go up Wednesday and then again on Thursday, and they're really great for guidance. And I want to really encourage you to look for love in your life, seek to serve others, and be authentic and be in integrity, and just love yourself. Be the best, most happiest, joyful person you can be. That'll have a bigger impact on the world than anything else you can imagine. Thanks for popping in. I'm so glad that you did. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you next time. Thanks a lot from Sharyn Rose. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose, formerly the Medium Well podcast. Still the same great podcast with the same great advice from Sharyn Rose. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast player, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, and never miss an episode. All you have to do is follow on your favorite player, and you'll be able to catch a new episode of Spirit Rising with Psychic Sharyn Rose every Wednesday, released at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll talk to you next time.